one day on the way to a book event like this one for these other books. And he was nice enough to invite me over to his house, and he told me all about Bill Bell. Bill Bell was the New York Philharmonic tuba player and was kind of like the reigning czar of the tuba scene in New York, which was large because all the clubs and theaters had orchestras, and each of the orchestras has a tuba player, right? And so Bill Bell was a heavy drinker, real party. He loved drinking, and a thing that tuba players had trouble working their way through frequently, I think, many of them. But his fame really began when he put out a record, the first tuba record with the tuba as a solo instrument. And that also began my fascination with one of the themes of the book, which is the liberation of creativity. The tuba, unlike almost any other instrument, has been cloistered and hamstrung and limited and constrained by the attitudes of other musicians or band directors for years. You can only do this. You can only do that. You can't do like what a violin would play or a trumpet or a trombone or what have you. And Bill Bell began the liberation of tuba players, which to me became a major theme. Like, this is fascinating. People are working towards their own liberation. And after writing 12 years about addiction, which is enslavement, to write about people who are finding liberation through what they're doing and working hard at it without, again, any promise of fame or fortune. He was the first one to show them, this is the new standard you have to meet. And his technique was flawless. And I talked to many guys who are now very old who remember listening to this record in the 1960s, a lot of them. It came out in 57, the same year as Whole Lot of Shaking Going On, Jerry Lee Lewis, Jailhouse Rock, Elvis Presley. It struck me that just as revolutionary as those records was Bill Bell's album called Bill Bell and His Tuba. And there was Bill Bell with lacquered hair, big horn-rimmed glasses, black coat, black tie, square as could be.
Super.
And yet, when you talk to people who heard that record, it was like mind-bending. I mean, Winston Morris said, it totally changed my entire life.
Well, the music on this particular album all comes from cello music. It comes one piece in particular comes from a very, very technical trumpet piece, Carnival of Venice. And so what Bill Bell was able to do was take all of this music that the other instruments, these solo instruments, the ones that get the spotlight all the time, and he's like, well, we can do that too,
Yes.
Yeah.
And this was what this kind of began, I think.
Of course.
This idea of setting a new standard, that tuba players should reach for these new standards and should not listen to other people who told them they couldn't, but also should not internalize these lower standards that others would impose upon them. And so the Bill Bell record, I found it. I have a copy. I don't have a turntable, but I do have a copy of Bill Bell and his tuba, which I got from bizarrerecords.com. He's, it's like one of these kind of parts of the internet you never hear of. But what blew me away was how people would speak of their musical lives being transformed hearing that album one time. These were lonely, young tuba players, often like one tuba player per band, probably had never met another tuba player, really, many of them, and were kind of constrained by what their band directors thought they could actually do.
Yeah, of course. That album, Roger Bobo